You may be wondering first, what is the rotor and what does it do? The rotor is virtually an invisible dial that offers some shortcuts to be able to access and engage with some features of your phone or iPad in a quicker method. So it's kind of making things become more efficient that you commonly want to get to or need to do. And it's invisible. It shows up very briefly, but flicks away very quickly. So basically, it is invisible. It is for voiceover users, so you're not relying on seeing it. As we've always said, what you hear is where you are. And it's going to be very valuable to you going forward. So I wanted to really take the time today to talk about the rotor. What can it do for you? A few examples are when you're navigating the internet and you want to move quickly from heading to heading or link to link. You can do that using the rotor and really hone in on information in a quicker method. You can also use it if you are reading some information and you need to know the actual spelling of somebody's name or get an actual address where someone lives. And when you hear it out loud with voiceover, you're not confident in what it might be, in terms of the spelling and details. You can turn the rotor to words and even characters and really hone in this instance, letter by letter and get that spelling and feel confident in what you're going to do to get to that address or to input them into your address book or when you're addressing them in an email, you're going to know how to spell their name. So details like that are really going to be helpful, especially as we move forward and we get into editing and typing and, correcting some mistakes and things like that. The rotor will be helpful as well. So let's take a look at first, where do you find the rotor? So that is under Settings.
Settings.
And I double tap on that with one finger.
Settings.
Then we've got to find Accessibility.
Apple Fitness, Software, Airplane, Bluetooth, Cellular.
So I'm flicking to the right.
Personal Hot, Sounds and Focus, Screen Time, General, Controls, Action Button, Display and Home Screen, Accessibility.
So I flicked to the right till I got to Accessibility. And I'm going to double tap on that because I want to activate it.
Vision, Heading.
And Vision is at the top, Vision Heading. And remember, heading is a sign. It just tells you where you are, such as when you're in a department store, Target, heading, ladies' apparel, men's apparel. That's just indicating where you are. So I'm going to flick to the right to VoiceOver.
VoiceOver, on, button.
And I'm going to double tap on that because the rotor I know is inside here.
VoiceOver speaks items on the screen.
Okay. And then I'm going to flick to the right until I reach rotor. So we'll just hear a few things until we get to that.
Tap once, learn
so
more.
Flick to the
VoiceOver,
right.
tip, speak, braille, VoiceOver, verbosity, audio, command, rotor, button.
Rotor, there it is. So let's double tap on that.
Rotor items, button.
And as this is an introductory series, we won't cover absolutely everything, but we will get to some important things that will get you going with VoiceOver and the rotor. So at the top,
rotor items, button,
are your rotor items. That's what we really want to take advantage of here. I'm going to double tap on that with one finger.
Selected, characters.
Now, what we're in here is a list. This is a pretty good size, substantial list of things you can put in the rotor. And there's a lot. You don't want to put everything in your rotor. It is meant to be used as a quick navigational type tool to be able to get to things in a more efficient manner. So, for example, if you put, 20 things to 40 things in your rotor, you've really defeated the purpose and you might as well just go to those features themselves. If you have, 5, 10 things in there, maybe, I don't know. The most used, most meaningful things to you, that's what you want to put in the rotor, things you can get to quickly. So what we do is we can work our way down the list And if you want something in your rotor, you would just double tap to select it or highlight it. Same thing, select or highlight it. It's going to say selected with voiceover on, which is basically highlighting it. So let's start at the top.
Selected. Rotor items. Heading.
Okay, rotor items heading. I'm going to flick to the right.
Selected. Characters.
Characters. Now, I have characters selected because it is very important for me to be able to access characters. Remember the example I gave of knowing how things are spelled? That's a great example to keep that in there. And let's flick to the right again.
Reorder characters. Button.
Now, every item that you put in here, you can reorder how they appear in the rotor.
Then drag to rearrange.
Oops, sorry. Everything that if you want to reorder something, you could change how it appears in the rotor, like the circular dial. Picture a circular dial. But for today's purposes, we'll just pick what we want in or out of the rotor. So let's go down again.
Selected. Words.
Words, that's selected. Words are equally important to me in terms of editing, especially when we get into typing and honing in on, lines and words and characters. Those are very important in your rotor.
Reorder word. Selected. Lines.
So we've got lines. That's in there.
Reorder line. Selected. Text selection.
Text selection. That's a very important one as well, in my opinion, in terms of copying and pasting, which we'll get into later. Let's say I want to take something out of the rotor, though. I would simply double tap here. Say I want to take out text selection. I double tap with one finger.
Text selection.
Okay, and now it's just not highlighted. It doesn't say selected anymore. I want to put it back in, so it works like a toggle on, putting it in, taking it out, put it in, take it out. So I'm going to double tap again with one finger.
Selected. Text selection.
And there you go. Now it is selected. And there are a lot of things here. I'll just, sit back, be quiet, and I'll flick to the right, moving forward or down a list that we learned in lesson 1. And I'll just let you hear some of the things that are in here.
Reorder selected. Speaking rate. Reorder volume. Reorder selected. Audio ducking. Reorder punctuation. Reorder sounds. Reorder hints. Reorder selected. Braille screen input.
So as you see, this list goes on and on. Okay, there's several things in here. We also don't want to duplicate, features in the rotor that we could do easily otherwise. So for example, you might have heard that volume for me, I don't have it selected. Why? Because I can hit the, side button for the volume. Maybe that's meaningful to you. Everybody has their own design of how they set up their rotor. Perfectly okay. So now you understand a little bit about what you can, put in and out of the rotor and where it's located. Let's do some real world examples. Okay, so I'm going to close out of settings in the rotor here. I like to go back and go back to the settings main menu.
Selected. Characters. Rotor. Back button.
So I'm going to go rotor back button.
Rotor. Rotor items. Button.
Okay, and I could also use the scrub gesture, which is 2 fingers and kind of scribble a bunch of Z's back and forth.
Rotor. Button.
And that will take me back a layer as well as touching about a 1/4 inch from the top left.
Accessibility. Back button.
See, I could touch that and then double tap.
Access. Voiceover. On. Button. Settings. Back button.
Okay, or I could do, the scrub gesture.
Button. Spoken content. Accessibility. Button.
See, and I can go back a layer, either one of these methods, touching about a 1/4 inch down from the top left, touching the screen and hearing it.
Settings. Heading.
Okay, and I am back in the settings main menu, so I can close this like you close an app. Slide up, bloop, bloop, and let go.
Search.
Okay. Unless you have a home button, in which case you'd press lightly once. Let's go online and go to a web page and play around with it.
Dock.
So,
phone.
As you remember from the last lesson, my favorite, most used apps are in the dock at the bottom. So I'm going to touch the bottom left.
Phone.
And that's
Double
phone.
Tap to open.
I'm going to flick to the right.
Safari.
There's
double tap to open.
There's Safari. That's my browser. So I'm going to double tap on that. Remember, you can also use Siri to open any app. But since we're talking about VoiceOver, we're going to do it the VoiceOver way. So I'm going to double tap on Safari and open this up.
Toolbar. Forward. Dimmed. Button.
All right. So we're on a website. Let's see. What is this?
Address. Pet.com.
Pets.com. This is all about oodles of doodles and golden doodles. I love golden doodles. So I brought up a website about that. So first you need to know, what is the gesture to activate the rotor, right? We haven't talked about that. To activate the rotor, there's a couple types, little methods of pieces of advice to do this. The first one I'm going to call, it's the touch, twist, lift, okay? So you're going to take your thumb and your index finger, and if you ever had an opportunity to turn a dial, right, you kind of just turn a dial on an old radio or something, you just twist it and turn it, right? So I call it touch, twist, lift. So we touch the screen, we twist the thumb and the index finger, and then we lift our fingers off the screen. So it's touch, twist, lift. Okay, I'll do that just so you can hear it.
Characters. Words.
Okay, you heard it, turning the dial and saying out loud the different options that I have in there. The other method to kind of think of it, if that's not connecting with how you learn, is you could take your index finger and kind of slide down as you slide your thumb up. And it doesn't matter which fingers you use. Maybe you like your index finger and your middle finger. That feels really awkward to me. Or your index finger, and your ring finger. Whatever two fingers work for you. But I like my thumb and my index finger. So if you kind of take that index finger and slide down and your thumb and slide up, that would do it too. So I'll try that approach. It almost makes it twist, okay? So you touch, do the gesture, and lift.
Pet. Select characters. Words.
Okay, so touch, twist, lift really is the best way I can describe it, but that other method is a way to practice it as well. All right, so let me just touch this rotor again, and I'll let you hear what I have in mind right now. I'll just keep twisting.
Lines. Text selection. Speaking rate. Audio ducking. Containers. Headings. Links. Form control. Tables. Actions. Characters. Words. Lines.
And then I've been full circle around it, okay? So I'm on lines right now. So once you hear, because remember what you hear is where you are, when you turn the rotor to a feature, that you want to work with, such as characters, words, lines, or headings, links, when you have heard the feature that you want to work with, the other gesture that you now do, instead of flicking right to move ahead or left to go backwards, in the rotor, we flick down with one finger and up with one finger. So the next line, if I landed on lines, I heard lines. So if I flick down.
Address. Pet.com.
Okay, with one
Secure.
finger, it told me the address. Okay. If I flick down again, that's the end. Here's that bong, right? There's nothing below it. Okay. If I flick up with one finger, I'm going to hear previous line.
Address.
Well, I'm stuck in the address. Hold on.
Where we explore the types of
Leave it
doodle
to me.
breeds available. Where we explore the types of doodle breeds
Okay, here we
available
go.
and how
Here's more information. Let's flick down.
we explore the types of doodle breeds available and how to determine
Okay, I'm flicking down line by line by line.
which one is right for you. New line.
Okay, if I flicked up, I'd go backwards,
Which one is right for you.
line by line.
Doodle breeds available and how to article F what. Where
Okay.
we explore.
So that's line by line. What if I want to get to, let's flick down once.
Article F what. Where we explore the types of.
Okay, where we explore the types of. Did you hear that phrase? Let's say I want to get to the word types, and I want to know how to spell types. Maybe I never knew how to spell it. I could turn the rotor to words.
Words.
That touch, twist, lift. I heard words, so what I hear is where I am now, and I can work with that, with words. I flick down,
Where we explore
and I'm going forward, word
the
by word.
types.
Types. Now, my cursor is at the end of types. If I flicked up,
Types.
my, invisible cursor, whatever, would be at the beginning of types. Now I want to know how to spell it. I know I'm at the beginning of types. I could turn the rotor to characters.
Characters.
And now I use that same flick down gesture with one finger.
T. Y. P. E. S.
And I learned how to spell types. Okay? What's really useful on websites, though, are navigating. Some websites are huge, right? And you want to get that feel of the flow. You could turn the rotor to headings.
Words.
And I'm going to do that.
Lines.
Touch, twist, lift.
Text selection. Speaking rate. Audio duck. Braille screen. Container. Headings.
Headings. There they
2
are.
headings.
Let's see if we have any headings.
Search. Heading level 3.
There's a heading.
Search. Landmark. Recent posts. Heading
Recent
level
posts.
3. Heading not found.
Oh, I'm at the bottom. Let's go up and see what headings we have.
Search. Heading apostrophe. Heading level labradoodle. Heading level. Go to the press and tell them we've invented a new dog. The designer breeds may evoke the image of a oodles of doodles. The history of the breed. Heading level 1.
Okay. Oodles of doodles, the history of the breed. Heading level 1. That's the sign of where I am, remember? Now let's say, oh, I'm interested in that. Now I go back to my lesson 1 gestures of if I want to advance and hear more about the history of the breed and I want to flick to the right with one finger, I will now hear what's inside this, right? So let's flick to the right with one finger.
Doodle has grown to mean many different poodle crossbreeds and has become a catch-all term for any such dog.
Right? Because I'm on headings, okay? I can also turn the rotor to links.
Links. 29 links.
Oh, by the way, it just told me too, there's 29 links. Let's go back to headings.
Headings. 7 headings.
7 headings. That's great information, isn't it? So you at least know how many you've got. So I'm going to turn it back to links, touch, twist, lift with my thumb and index finger.
Links. 29 links.
All right, now let's flick down and hear some of these links. So I flick down, right? What I heard was links. So now I can flick down because I'm in the rotor. I flick down and up in the rotor.
Previous post. Link. Previous. Next post. Link. Pampering the pint-sized pups. Small breed specialty grooming at Pet Care Plus. Link.
Okay, say I want to go there. I like that. A link is somewhere where you can go, right? A heading is just a sign of where you are. A link is somewhere where you can go. I like that link. So what do I do to activate something? What is that gesture from lesson 1 to activate? Double tap with one finger.
Pampering the call. 3, 1, 2, 3,
Okay.
9.
And it loaded. It does a little ticking while it's loading. You might hear instances where you hear more ticking. It's just taking its time to load. You know, different pages might take a different amount of time for you. And then once it's loaded, it stops. Okay. Now I'm on a different page. I have no idea what's on this page. Let's just see what we have for headings.
Headings. 0 headings.
0 headings. That's not good. Let's turn it back to links.
Links. 0 links.
0 links. What is on here? I'm going to touch the screen.
Pet Care Plus. Link. Image.
Well, that wasn't
An
accurate, was
illustration
it?
of a person next to
Because I think it might have recognized it further as an image.
characters. Words.
I don't know if I have images in my rotor.
Character. Action. Table. Form. Links. Headings. Container. Audio. Speaking rate. Lines. Words. Character. Actions. Tables. Form. Links.
Yeah, no, I don't have images in
link.
here. I could put images in the rotor, but I didn't choose to do so.
Book now. View web. Book now. Link. Image.
So you can't
An
always
illustration
trust.
of a
This is
black
a thing
arrow
that
on a
I
blue
have found.
background.
Whoops, sorry. You can't always trust the number of headings and links that it's saying. I just wanted to point that out because I have had instances where it has done that and said 0 and there really are some. And it can really confuse you. So if it says 0, just try flicking down anyway and see if you come across links, okay? Because I have found that to be inaccurate at times. But there are headings and there are links. You can still turn the rotor and get to them. And I'm in links, so I'm going to flick down.
Login ASP. Login ASP. Login ASP.
Okay, I'm going to...
Edit.
Let's turn to something else. Let's turn to...
Tables.
Are there any
0
tables in here? Let's see if there's a table.
Table not found.
Nope, no tables. Let's... and I flicked down, so I have proof that there was no tables. I didn't just take its word.
Table not
See,
found.
no tables. Okay, I'm going to turn the rotor again. Touch, twist, lift.
Form controls. 11 form controls.
Okay. It says there's 11 form controls. This is great for filling out a form. Let's see. Let's flick down and see if there's anything to fill out. So we flick down with one finger because we heard form controls in the rotor. And when you hear something in the rotor, it's flick down, flick up. So I'm going to flick down to move ahead.
Search by keyword. Search field. Double tap to edit.
Ah, that's great. See, I found a search field here, and I could double tap, the keyboard would come up, and then I could either dictate or type what I'm searching for. But let's flick down again with one finger, see if there's any other form fields.
Search button. And
okay, there's that search button. Let's keep going.
Message us button.
I could message them.
Page settings button. Address pet.com.
There you go. I'm going to go back up.
Message up. Search by keyword. Form
And that's
control
it for
not
form
found.
fields, because I went back up. And did you hear that?
Form
That means
control
there's
not
nothing
found.
there. No more form fields. Let's turn the rotor again.
Links.
Back
28
to links.
Headings. Containers.
Let's go to
Braille screen and audio ducking. Speaking rate.
what audio
ducking.
ducking. That's an
On.
important one I have in there. I always like to make sure audio ducking is on, so I keep it in there in case for whatever reason it turns off. It's when you're using media and you're using voiceover. So if I were listening to something in YouTube and I was also relying on voiceover to, navigate the YouTube screen, I need to have voiceover a little bit louder than, to stand out, right, above the music. So that's audio ducking. If I have it on, I will be able to still hear my voiceover over media, books, music, that kind of stuff. So I like to keep it in the rotor just in case, it accidentally gets turned off. I'm going to turn the rotor again.
Speaking rate, 50%.
So this is a quick place to get to your speaking rate, right? Oh, I usually like it at 70%, but in this instance, I'm just not capturing what they're saying in this article very well. I'm going to slow the speaking rate down just for this article. So I want to get at it really quickly. So I have it in the rotor, and then when you hear speaking rate and you're in the rotor, remember the gestures now are flicking down and flicking up. I flick up, it gets faster.
55%, 60%, 65%, 70%. 75%, 80%, 85%, 90%.
That's how I like it. But anyways, let's flick it back down to go slower.
85%, 80%, 70, 6, 55%, 50%.
And there we go. We could probably leave it at 50.
55%.
55 is good, right? So that's a quick way to get to your speaking rate in the rotor. You touch, twist, lift till you get to speaking rate, and then you can flick down or up to make it, slower or faster.
Text selection.
All right, we're not going to talk
right
yet about text selection, but it is
Swipe
a great
left to
way to
shrink
be able
selection.
to copy and paste. But just know that that's there.
Lines.
Okay. So these are just, again, the things that I have in my rotor. It might not be things that you are going to place in your rotor. It is a personal experience. Okay. So I'm not going to talk about text editing and typing yet. That will come in a subsequent lesson, but words, characters, and lines will become very important when you're editing text. But for now, I've demonstrated how you can get to a word or get to, a character and spell something, right, to get the correct information that you need. And that really concludes the introduction on the rotor. I hope that you have liked this video, and I hope you'll practice. Remember to practice 10 to 15 minutes a day. If you practice every day for 10 to 15 minutes a day, you will advance, right? Don't overkill and say, I've got to do 2 hours of this. You won't want to go back to it. You'll have burnout. But if you do 10 to 15 minutes a day, I bet you'll find that you are advancing in a couple of weeks. So again, thank you for tuning in to Tech Topics, and I look forward to our next session.